Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And today we are discussing something that is just a lot of fun. The original Hublot Big Bang Meca-10 10-day power reserve arrived back in 2016. The example in my hand, the Hublot Big Bang Meca-10 Black Magic in black ceramic. This one was sold in 2020. The watch is part of a family of Hublot in-house calibers designed to look like Meccano. So if you're familiar with Meccano kits that kids play with, that is the design touchstone for this movement, which doubles as this dial. Now, it is part of the Big Bang family, so you can see the external design language is unmistakable. It's big at 45 millimeters in diameter. It's not as thick as you think at 15.7, but it is broad as you think at 57.5 from lug to lug. I'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it fits. It's big, that's the look. It's supposed to look large. It's supposed to look maybe even a little too large. But once it's on the wrist, and I haven't sized down the strap properly, you can see that the angle of the lugs matters. The lugs are angled on each side, which helps it to sort of duck around the wrist. So while big is the look, brash is the attitude, and so it's not supposed to look proportional in any sense. It's also quite secure. The form factor really helps it here. So I would say if you want perfect aesthetics, then you want a 17 or maybe 18 centimeters circumference wrist. If you just want to wear it, then my wrist size is absolutely fine. 16 centimeters will work. Here's your cuff shot. Now we're going to take a look at the rest. I should be clear, this is not part of the all-black series. There was a 500-piece all-black version of this watch that debuted in 2016. This is the Black Magic version that came later, which is not a limited edition. So the watch is equipped with an Hublot rubber strap, which is quite natural, dating back to 1980 and their very first model, back when the company was MDM Genève and the watch was the Hublot. The rubber strap was part of the design scheme from the beginning. And this does have the push-button quick-release system that most of the other Big Bang Unico models have in the modern era, and quite a few one-click models have appropriated since the Big Bang Unico arrived. So it's a push-button system, and while it is a proprietary junction, there's so many Hublot strap options, you will not be constrained in dressing this up or dressing it down. You're going to find there's a lot of choices. It's a thick strap too, and you can see that it's likely to last a very long time. We have a clasp that has some external ceramic, but then also quite a good deal of blackened titanium. The inside of the clasp is actually an Hublot H. You can see it all closes up. And the extra length goes underneath, so when it's sized properly, you don't have any minder loops, you don't have any visible extraneous strap length. It's hidden all under the clasp and under the strap, so very clean. In profile, we have a little plastic insert or a polymer insert, and then we have another plastic or gasket-like insert around the bezel. And you can see there are these flanking brackets. We have a little rubber shoulder on the crown. The watch is 100 meters water resistant. You can see all of these screws on the watch are H-shaped. They have a combination of polish and media blast, and they all have an H shape because Hublot. You'll also see them on the dial. Now, Hublot has sort of ghosted the logo on the underside of the sapphire in order to keep the dial as unadorned as possible. There's a lot going on here. We'll open up the case back real quick so you can see. This is the movement, and the movement features two barrels and these girder-like base plate elements and bridges. You can see that all of this looks very much like a Meccano set, or if you're in the United States, maybe this would be what we call a Rector set. And you can also see it says full adjusted, which I interpret to mean 5 positions. That's generally considered full in this business. HUB 1201 is the movement, 2 barrels, 24 joules, and then flip it over to this side, and you can see that it features a double power reserve indicator. So you have this sort of rack and wheel, and this will turn red when you have 48 hours of power reserve remaining, and the 10-day power reserve in total is traced by this power reserve indicator, which is a wheel down on the bottom. So you can see how this rack interacts with this wheel, and then below that, it interacts with the other power reserve, and we have this reduction system that acts in, well, reduction and multiplication across all these. We have a pinion driving the rack, a rack driving a wheel, and then a wheel effectively driving a smaller pinion that turns the second power reserve. There is loom. You can see it now. No shortage of it. It's actually an easy watch to read in the dark, and it's easier to see in the dark that there is a running seconds hand. It sits right over the balance. Now, it's a 3 hertz beat rate, which means 21,600 vibrations per hour, and you can see it's properly sized for this large case. This is a true manufacturer product. You can also see how Hublot scalloped the track outboard to accommodate a fully visible balance, which I really like. Look carefully, as you can see off to the side, Edicron has been used for fine adjustment of timing and beat error. Quite a few grayscale elements here. We have silver, we have black, we have gray, and then we have those blackened Hublot H screws with a really cool coil spring underneath this secondary power reserve indicator. I'll wind it up so you can see all this stuff in operation, and so you can see how the 48-hour warning disappears as you pass 2 days of indicated power reserve down at the base. Now, it's a ceramic watch, which means it's going to be exceptionally scratch resistant, and that's something I like quite a bit. There are a few highlights here. As you can see, the side of the bezel's been polished, but for the most part, it's all a matte finish, and it's a really good look. There's polish and profile for a little bit of contrast. Ceramic is super scratch resistant. If you hate scratches, this is going to be the watch for you. Some will ask, what does this mean? Because it says titanium on the case back. Well, the reason that they put that there is because inside this outer case, there's an inner case that's made of titanium, and it is that case that provides the 100-meter water resistance and acts as a hermetically sealed container for the dial and the movement elements. So that's what's going on there. That's why a lot of these Hublot watches that have no visible titanium will say titanium on the reverse of the lugs. That's what that is about. If you love this watch, and I do, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.